Something massive is unfolding at Newcastle United, and fans can feel it in the air. Behind the scenes, the talk is getting louder. Questions about one of the club's biggest summer signings, a rising Russian star catching the scouts' eyes, and whispers of a comeback story that could light up the Premier League. It's the kind of week that makes every Geordie stop and listen. Inside St. James' Park, Eddie Howe's plans are being tested in ways few expected this early in the season. With bold transfer moves, mixed results, and new names linked every day, Newcastle's direction could change faster than anyone thinks. So, stick around till the end to catch every twist. And if you bleed black and white, hit that subscribe button to stay one step ahead of the news. Yoane Wissa's move from Brentford to Newcastle United has suddenly become one of the most talked about transfers of the summer, and not for the right reasons. According to a new report from The Athletic, several agents and insiders have ranked it among the worst deals of the window. For Newcastle fans, the news hit like a cold wind through St. James' Park. Many had faith that Eddie Howe's team knew exactly what they were doing. But when £55 million goes on a player yet to train or play, questions were always going to be asked. When the deal was announced, it looked ambitious rather than reckless. Wissa had impressed with his pace, pressing, and ability to find space between defenders. Howe saw him as the perfect fit for Newcastle's high-energy football, someone who could complement Alexander Isak and take pressure off him during busy fixture periods. But fate intervened cruelly. Before he could pull on the famous black and white shirt, Wissa suffered a serious hamstring injury, and what should have been an exciting chapter turned into a long wait. No one at the club expected this setback. Newcastle's medical team had given the all-clear during his signing process, and his fitness record at Brentford had been strong. Yet football has its cruel side. Now, months later, the headlines don't talk about his talent. They focus on the price tag and the empty appearances column. That's how brutal this sport can be. Howe has been patient, though. He's insisted in press conferences that the club has no regrets and that Wissa will still prove his worth. Eddie Howe's loyalty to his players is well known. He backed others through tough times, from Miguel Almiron's slow start to Callum Wilson's injuries. Wissa's situation fits the same pattern. The manager believes in perseverance and balance, not panic. He wants to protect his squad from external pressure and let performances do the talking. Still, behind closed doors, he'll know that every missed week pushes the narrative further against Newcastle, and that fans' patience doesn't last forever. Some pundits believe The Athletic's assessment is unfair. They point out that Newcastle's recruitment has been mostly clever since the Southerback takeover, and mistakes are rare. Nick Woltermade's rapid adaptation to Premier League football, for example, shows how solid the scouting department is. The issue isn't bad planning, it's bad fortune. Injuries can make even the smartest signings look foolish. In a few months, if Wissa starts scoring, these critics will be rewriting their articles. Football's memory is short when goals arrive. However, perception matters as much as results in modern football. Spending £55 million on a 29-year-old who hasn't played yet does invite scrutiny, especially under financial fair play rules. Rival fans and pundits are quick to pounce on any sign of mismanagement at Newcastle. The same deal at another club might have been called bold or calculated risk, but when the Magpies do it, it's labelled reckless. That double standard still lingers in English football, and Howe knows his team must fight not only on the pitch but in the public eye too. Behind the scenes, there's quiet confidence that Wissa will repay the faith. Sources close to the club say his rehabilitation is progressing well and that the medical staff expect him to be back in light training soon. He's been a positive figure at the training ground, upbeat, disciplined, and determined to contribute. Players have spoken about how he cheers others on during sessions, despite being sidelined himself. That attitude has earned respect inside the dressing room, which could help him settle faster once he returns. For Newcastle's board, the bigger picture still looks healthy. The club has balanced ambitious spending with strong performances and increasing commercial growth. They knew that not every signing would work immediately. The Wissa deal, though, highlights how thin the margin for error has become when a team tries to climb into the elite. Fans expect instant impact, and social media magnifies every delay. Howe's challenge is to keep the squad united and shielded from that noise while results hold steady. Meanwhile, The comparison with other bad transfers adds context. Benjamin Eko, who turned down Newcastle to join Manchester United, has struggled badly at Old Trafford. James Trafford's return to Manchester City hasn't gone smoothly either, and yet those moves draw less criticism. That's why many supporters feel the Athletics list reflects bias more than logic. When a player fails elsewhere, it's called a learning curve. When it happens at Newcastle, it's a disaster. The double standard couldn't be clearer. In the end, Yoane Wissa's story at Newcastle is only at the beginning. His reputation has taken a knock before he's even played, but he's still got the talent and drive to turn everything around. If he comes back fit and firing this winter, the same journalists who doubted him will be rushing to call it a comeback story. Eddie Howe has built his reputation on reviving players' careers, and Wissa could be his next success. Football loves redemption, and this one might be just around the corner. Kirill Glebov's name has begun to echo across Europe, and now it's reached the corridors of St. James Park. The 19-year-old Russian midfielder, currently impressing for Dynamo Kiev, has become one of the most sought-after youngsters in world football. According to reports from Italy, Newcastle United, Arsenal, West Ham, and Inter Milan are all chasing his signature. For a player who only made his professional debut 2 years ago, it's a stunning rise, and it's easy to see why clubs are scrambling to bring him in. Eddie Howe has made it clear he wants to continue building a young, energetic squad capable of competing at the highest level. Newcastle's recruitment strategy since the takeover has focused heavily on signing players who can grow with the club rather than those already at their peak. Glebov fits that profile perfectly. Technically gifted, confident in possession, and intelligent in reading the game. Scouts describe him as a blend of determination and calmness, rare qualities in someone so young. The challenge for Newcastle will be convincing the player that Tyneside is the best place for his development. Arsenal and Inter Milan can both offer instant prestige and guaranteed European football, while West Ham can promise more regular first-team minutes. But what Newcastle can offer is something few others can. A long-term project under a manager who trusts youth. Howe's track record of nurturing players like Elliot Anderson and Lewis Miley could be key in persuading Glebov to choose black and white. Reports suggest that initial contact has already been made between Newcastle's recruitment department and the players' representatives. The club is believed to have sent scouts to watch him 3 times this season, with glowing feedback on each occasion. His passing range, composure under pressure, and ability to control the tempo of play have impressed everyone who's seen him live. One insider reportedly called him the kind of midfielder Newcastle haven't had since Caballé. That comparison alone has got fans excited. Arsenal, though, won't go down quietly. Mikel Arteta's side have also identified Glebov as a long-term solution for their midfield depth, particularly with their Champions League ambitions. Sources in Italy claim Arsenal are already preparing a £25 million bid to test Dynamo Kiev's resolve. Glebov's current contract runs until 2028, which means any deal would require a convincing package, not just financially, but in terms of career development. Inter Milan, too, have been monitoring his progress closely and could use their European pedigree as leverage. For Newcastle, it's not just about signing a player, it's about making a statement. Competing for a teenage prodigy against traditional giants like Arsenal and Inter shows how far the club has come. Just 3 years ago, such a battle would have been unthinkable. Now, thanks to improved scouting, smart investments, and Eddie Howe's clear vision, Newcastle can sit at the same table as Europe's elite. The Glebov pursuit symbolizes the club's growing confidence in its own project. From the player's perspective, the Premier League appears to be his dream destination. Interviews from his youth reveal that he grew up watching English football religiously, admiring the intensity and pace of the game. He once mentioned Steven Gerrard and Yaya Toure as his idols, both midfielders who combined power with intelligence. If Newcastle can promise him that same platform for growth, they could win his heart. The idea of becoming part of Howe's rebuilding journey might appeal more than sitting on the bench at Arsenal or Inter. Of course, money talks in modern football, and Dynamo Kiev will want to extract maximum value from their rising star. The Ukrainian club is aware that interest from the Premier League always drives prices up. Newcastle are expected to remain cautious with financial fair play in mind, but the owners know the value of investing in young talent. If they see Glebov as a future cornerstone of the midfield, they won't hesitate to move when the time is right. Howe himself is believed to have approved the scouting reports personally. Some analysts have compared Glebov's playing style to that of Luka Modric, not because he's reached that level yet, but because of his intelligence and movement between the lines. He's not flashy, he's efficient, making the players around him better. That's exactly what Newcastle need as they look to build a more balanced team. With Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali already in place, Glebov could be molded as the perfect understudy, learning from two of the finest midfielders in Europe. The potential is huge. The coming months will reveal whether Newcastle can turn interest into action. The club's scouting department is expected to continue monitoring him through the winter, with a potential move in the summer of 2026 on the cards. Arsenal remain favourites due to their London appeal, but Newcastle's growing influence and Howe's persuasive charm could swing it. One thing's certain, whoever signs Kirill Glebov won't just be buying a player, they'll be investing in a future star. And if it's Newcastle, the Magpies could be set for another exciting chapter in their rise. Ansu Fati is once again turning heads across Europe, and this time Newcastle United are firmly in the race. The 22-year-old forward, once hailed as Lionel Messi's heir at Barcelona, has rediscovered his spark in France with AS Monaco. After years of injury setbacks and fading confidence, Fati has reignited his career, scoring 5 goals in his first 3 matches. His resurgence has caught the attention of several Premier League clubs, notably Newcastle, Everton, and Crystal Palace, all keen to bring him back to England's spotlight. Eddie Howe has reportedly taken a personal interest in monitoring Fati's progress. Newcastle have been searching for a versatile attacker who can provide pace, creativity, and goals, particularly with the team's growing fixture list. Fati's current loan spell at Monaco includes an €11 million option to buy, with Barcelona holding a €28 million buyback clause. But with Premier League interest rising, the situation could get complicated. If Newcastle decide to step in, they could offer the player not only a fresh start but also a platform to fulfill his long-delayed potential. For Fati, this turnaround has been nothing short of remarkable. Only 2 years ago, his career looked to be in freefall. Injuries had robbed him of consistency, and the pressure of replacing Messi had become unbearable. At Barcelona, expectations were enormous, and the constant spotlight did more harm than good. His move to Monaco last summer was seen by many as a gamble, but it's paying off spectacularly. Freed from pressure, he's playing with confidence again. Sharp on the ball, fearless in attack, and smiling like he did as a teenager. The Premier League's renewed interest makes perfect sense. Fati's technical quality and agility fit well with English football's intensity, and his ability to play on either wing gives managers valuable flexibility. Newcastle's attacking options have been hit by injuries this season, and while Isaac and Almiron carry much of the load, the squad still lacks a consistent wide threat. Fati could change that. Howe has shown he can rebuild players' careers. Just look at Joelinton's transformation. A move to Tyneside might be exactly what Fati needs. However, competition will be fierce. Everton are eager to strengthen their front line, especially with uncertainty around some of their current forwards. Crystal Palace, too, have been seeking a long-term replacement for Wilfried Zaha's flair and creativity. Both clubs can offer Fati more guaranteed playing time, something Newcastle might struggle to promise immediately. But Newcastle's pool, the ambition, the fanbase, and the project under Eddie Howe could outweigh that. For many players, the idea of helping Newcastle reach the top again has a special allure. Financially, the deal will be tricky. Monaco's option to buy means they hold the first opportunity to sign Fati permanently, but the French side may struggle to meet the full asking price if competition from England escalates. Barcelona, on the other hand, are watching closely. They could use their buyback clause strategically, re-signing Fati and then selling him for profit to one of the English clubs. It's a tangled web of negotiations, and Newcastle will have to move smartly if they want to secure their man before others do. Sources close to Fati say he's open to a Premier League move, particularly after his positive experience against English sides in Europe. He's attracted by the passion of the fans and the physical style of play, which he believes can bring out his best. Newcastle staff are said to admire his work ethic and professionalism at Monaco, noting how he's rebuilt his fitness and regained confidence. If Howe can tap into that momentum, he could help Fati finally become the world-class forward everyone once expected him to be. At 22, Fati still has time on his side. His injuries slowed him down, but they didn't break him. Those who know him describe a resilient young man who never gave up, even when doctors doubted his long-term future. That mental strength has impressed scouts. Newcastle's recruitment philosophy values more than just technical ability. They look for character, players who can handle the demands of the club's growing ambitions. In that sense, Fati fits perfectly into Howe's blueprint. Fans on Tyneside would certainly welcome him with open arms. The thought of Fati linking up with Isaac and Gordon in attack is mouthwatering. St. James Park thrives on exciting football, and Fati's direct style would instantly get supporters off their seats. If the deal materializes, it could mark another bold statement of intent from Newcastle's ownership, proving once again that the club are ready to compete not only for trophies but for top-tier talent. The project is alive and growing, and Fati could be its next shining jewel. Still, nothing is guaranteed in football. Negotiations will depend on timing, money, and luck, three things that often decide who wins the transfer race. But one thing's clear, Ansu Fati's comeback is one of football's best stories this season, and Newcastle's pursuit adds another layer to it. If Eddie Howe manages to bring him to the northeast, it could be a turning point not just for the player, but for Newcastle's entire attacking future. The buzz around St. James Park has never felt stronger. What a week for Newcastle United. We've seen the club criticized for Yoane Wissa's transfer, linked with the brilliant Kirill Glebov, and now chasing a reborn Ansu Fati. Three stories that prove the Magpies are no longer bystanders. They're fighting for respect, for talent, and for their place among the elite. Eddie Howe's plans are bold, and that's exactly what this club needs. So tell us, lads, do you think Wissa will silence the critics once he's fit? Should Newcastle go all in for Glebov before Arsenal or Inter make their move? And would you take the gamble on Fati after his revival in Monaco? Drop your thoughts below with a simple yes or no. We want to hear from every Geordie watching. You fans are the heartbeat of this club. Your passion keeps the black and white fire alive, week after week. Keep believing, keep backing Eddie Howe, and keep that pride burning strong. Wait, before you go, check out this breaking video from Newcastle.